Driver 2 takes everything that worked before and opens it up in a big way. For the first time, you can leave your car, run through the streets, and jump into another vehicle whenever you need. It adds a new layer of freedom that keeps missions fresh and unpredictable. You play as Tanner, chasing a crime syndicate across cities like Chicago, Havana, and Las Vegas, each with its own style and layout. The driving feels smoother and the chases stay intense. It may be a bit rough in places, but the ambition makes it stand out. Motocross Mania is all about speed, chaos, and pulling off wild tricks mid-air. This is not a realistic racing sim. It is pure arcade fun where boosting at the right moment and landing crazy stunts is the key to winning. Tracks are packed with jumps, shortcuts, and obstacles that keep every race unpredictable. You are constantly balancing speed with control, trying not to wipe out while chasing that perfect run. Crash Bandicoot 2 takes everything from the original and makes it smoother, faster, and way more fun to explore. The controls feel tighter, the level design is more creative, and there is a better sense of progression this time around. Instead of a straight path, you move through warp rooms, picking levels and uncovering secrets along the way. Hidden paths, bonus stages, and collectibles give you plenty of reasons to come back. Monsters, Inc. Scream Team is a fun little platformer that leans into the charm of the Monsters, Inc. world. You play as Sully or Mike, training across different stages to become a top scarer, each level built around simple challenges and light puzzle elements. The gameplay mixes platforming with collecting items and using your roar to interact with objects. It is easy to understand and does not take long to get into. Final Fantasy VIII goes for a more realistic tone, blending a modern setting with classic fantasy elements. You follow Squall, a quiet and serious mercenary student, as he gets pulled into a much bigger conflict. The junction system changes how you build your characters, letting you link magic to stats instead of relying on traditional leveling. It can feel unusual at first, but it opens up a lot of flexibility. Echo Night goes for a slower, more story-driven kind of horror. Instead of fighting enemies, you explore a haunted ship, talking to spirits and uncovering what happened to them. Every ghost has its own story, and helping them move on is part of the experience. The gameplay focuses on puzzles and exploration, with darkness playing a big role in how safe you feel.
Who are you? What are you doing here? Come with me.
Castlevania Symphony of the Night flips the formula and turns it into something way deeper. Instead of short levels, you explore a massive castle, unlocking new abilities that open paths you could not reach before. You play as Alucard, moving through interconnected areas filled with secrets, enemies, and hidden gear. The progression feels smooth, and every upgrade makes a real difference. Colin McRae Rally 2 is all about control, precision, and reacting fast to the road ahead. This is not arcade racing. Every turn matters, and one mistake can cost you the race. Stages take you across different countries, with changing weather, surfaces, and tight corners that keep you fully focused. The co-driver calls out directions, so you are always preparing for what is coming next.
Into wall, 4 right, tightens. Into 3 left. 53 left.
EA Sports Superbike 2000 leans into a more realistic take on motorcycle racing. It is all about balance, timing, and knowing when to push or hold back, especially when leaning into tight corners at high speed. Tracks are based on real-world circuits, which adds to the immersion and makes each race feel more grounded. You need to manage acceleration carefully, because losing control is always a risk. Alone in the Dark, the new Nightmare brings classic survival horror with a strong focus on atmosphere. You explore a dark island filled with strange creatures, using limited resources and careful movement to stay alive. One of its standout features is the lighting system. Darkness is not just visual, it affects how you play. You need to use a flashlight to reveal threats, which adds tension to every step. Doom on PlayStation feels darker and more intense than you might expect. It keeps the fast shooting action, but adds a heavier atmosphere with dim lighting and a more eerie tone. You move through tight corridors and open arenas, blasting through demons while managing ammo and staying on the move. The controls take a bit to get used to, but once it clicks, it feels smooth and satisfying. James Bond brings a more mission-focused style to first-person shooters. Instead of just running and shooting, you are often completing objectives, using gadgets and thinking about your approach. Levels are based on scenes from the world is not enough, giving the game a cinematic feel as you move from one location to another. Gran Turismo 2 is all about depth and variety. With hundreds of cars and tons of events, it gives you a huge playground to test your driving skills and build your collection. The handling leans toward realism, so every car feels different depending on its weight, power, and setup. Winning races is not just about speed, it is about control and consistency. Heart of Darkness is a cinematic platformer that mixes action, puzzles, and breathtaking animation. You play as Andy, a young boy on a quest to rescue his dog, navigating strange lands filled with tricky obstacles and bizarre creatures. The levels are imaginative, with massive set pieces, challenging jumps, and clever puzzle elements that keep you thinking. The camera angles and cutscenes make it feel like you are part of a movie. Metal Gear Solid is a game that redefined stealth on consoles. You play as Solid Snake, sneaking through heavily guarded bases, avoiding cameras, and taking out enemies without getting caught. Every move feels tense and deliberate. The story is cinematic, full of twists, memorable villains, and high stakes that make each mission feel important. Boss fights are legendary, combining strategy with personality and clever mechanics. Mortal Kombat 3 speeds things up and brings a more aggressive style to the series. Fights feel faster, combos are more important, and there is a stronger focus on pressure and timing. The roster is packed with memorable fighters, each with their own moves, special attacks, and brutal finishers. Learning combos and chaining attacks becomes key if you want to win consistently.
Jax wins. Fatality.
The Mummy is a side-scrolling action platformer that throws you straight into traps, enemies, and constant danger. You play as Rick, moving through tombs and ruins filled with spikes, collapsing floors, and undead threats. The gameplay is simple but keeps you on edge. Timing your jumps and attacks is key because one mistake can send you back quickly. Need for Speed 3 Hot Pursuit brings pure arcade racing with a twist. It is not just about being the fastest, it is about escaping the police or chasing down racers if you play as a cop. Tracks are set in scenic locations with traffic, shortcuts, and long open roads that let you push your car to the limit. The sense of speed feels great, especially during intense pursuits. NASCAR Rumble throws realism out the window and goes full arcade chaos. This is not traditional racing. It is all about speed boosts, wild tracks, and power-ups that can turn the race around in seconds. Tracks are exaggerated and packed with jumps, shortcuts, and crazy turns that keep every lap unpredictable. You can collect abilities like rockets and turbo boosts, adding a competitive edge to every race.
That was too easy.
Alien Resurrection goes for a slower, more tactical style of shooter. Movement feels heavier, and every encounter pushes you to think before rushing in. The atmosphere is where it really stands out. Dark corridors, limited visibility, and the constant threat of aliens keep the tension high. It is less about non-stop action and more about surviving each section. Resident Evil Director's Cut is where classic survival horror really found its identity. You explore a mysterious mansion filled with locked doors, hidden puzzles, and limited resources that force you to think carefully. Every decision matters, whether it is choosing when to fight or when to avoid danger. The fixed camera angles add tension, making it harder to see what is waiting around the corner. Medal of Honor brings a more grounded take on first-person shooters. Instead of sci-fi or fantasy, it puts you in World War II missions focused on stealth, objectives, and careful movement. You play as a soldier behind enemy lines, completing tasks like sabotage and infiltration. Shooting matters, but rushing in is not always the best option. Levels feel varied, with different locations and mission types that keep things interesting. Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone brings a magical adventure to PlayStation with a mix of exploration, puzzles, and light action. You play as Harry, learning spells, attending classes, and uncovering secrets around Hogwarts. Each area introduces something new, from casting spells to solving environmental puzzles and collecting items. The castle feels alive, with hidden passages and challenges scattered throughout.
The lever is around here somewhere. There! I found it!
Street Fighter II on PlayStation keeps the classic formula that defined fighting games. It is all about timing, spacing, and learning each character's moves to gain the advantage. The roster features iconic fighters, each with their own style, from fast and agile to slow but powerful. Matches are simple to understand, but getting good takes real practice. Tekken 3 takes everything to the next level with faster gameplay, smoother animations, and a more responsive feel. Fights flow naturally, making combos and movement feel more fluid than ever. The roster is packed with unique characters, each with their own fighting style and moves to master. Whether you prefer quick strikes or heavy hits, there is someone for every playstyle. Wipeout 3 refines the formula and makes everything feel smoother and more controlled. The speed is still intense, but the handling feels more precise, giving you better control through tight turns. Tracks are cleaner and more technical, rewarding players who learn every corner and racing line. Weapons are still part of the action, but they feel more balanced, so races rely more on skill. The minimalist design and electronic soundtrack give it a sharp, futuristic style.
Fourth wall. Fourth wall.
Mega Man Legends takes the series into full 3D and gives it a more adventure-driven feel. You explore towns, talk to characters, and dive into ruins filled with enemies and hidden treasures. The gameplay mixes action with exploration, letting you upgrade your weapons and discover new paths as you progress. Movement feels different compared to classic entries, but it adds to the unique charm. The world has a light, colorful tone that makes it easy to get into. Crash Team Racing is pure arcade racing done right. It takes the fun of kart racers and adds tight controls, fast drifting, and a skill-based boost system that really rewards practice. Tracks are full of shortcuts, jumps, and hazards, so learning each one gives you a real advantage. Power-ups keep races unpredictable, adding that extra layer of chaos. Power Slave stands out by mixing first-person shooting with exploration and progression. Instead of simple level runs, you return to areas with new abilities, unlocking paths that were closed before. The Egyptian setting gives it a unique feel, with temples, traps, and enemies inspired by ancient mythology. It creates a strong atmosphere that feels different from other shooters of the time. Sledstorm is all about wild downhill racing on snow, packed with speed, shortcuts, and pure chaos. You race across icy mountains, dodging trees, rocks, and huge drops while trying to stay in control. Tracks are designed to feel unpredictable, with multiple paths and hidden routes that reward risk-taking. Pulling off jumps and clean runs gives you a real edge over the competition. Medieval 2 brings Sir Daniel Fortesque back with a bigger, more varied adventure. This time, the setting shifts to a spooky version of Victorian London, filled with strange enemies and dark humor. Combat feels more refined, with a wider range of weapons that let you handle fights in different ways. Levels are more open, mixing action, puzzles, and exploration to keep things interesting. Buzz Lightyear of Star Command brings fast-paced action with a sci-fi cartoon vibe. You play as Buzz, taking on missions across different planets, fighting enemies, and stopping evil forces in classic hero style. Levels mix shooting, platforming, and light exploration, keeping the gameplay varied without getting too complex. Weapons and gadgets help you handle different situations as you move forward. The game keeps a bright, colorful style, inspired by the Toy Story universe. One is a fast, side-scrolling shooter that keeps the pressure on from start to finish. You play as a character who gets stronger the longer you survive, upgrading weapons automatically as you keep moving and fighting. The pace is intense, with enemies constantly attacking and forcing you to stay aggressive. There is no slowing down here. It is all about momentum and quick reactions. Quake 2 on PlayStation delivers a darker, more focused take on the classic shooter. It keeps the core action, but adds a heavier atmosphere with industrial environments and a steady, methodical pace. You move through connected missions, taking on enemies while managing health and ammo. It feels less chaotic and more structured compared to other shooters of the time. Weapons are powerful, and each encounter pushes you to stay alert and position yourself carefully. Blast Radius puts you in control of a futuristic hover tank, mixing shooting with a bit of strategy. Instead of just rushing in, you need to manage energy, choose the right weapons, and think about positioning during battles. Missions take place across large open areas, where enemies can attack from different angles. This makes movement and awareness just as important as firepower. V2000 is one of those weird, ambitious games that mixes shooting, flying, and strategy into something pretty unique. You control a transforming vehicle that can hover, fly, and move across different terrains, which already makes it feel different from typical shooters. The goal is to stop a spreading alien virus across multiple worlds, destroying enemies, saving civilians, and upgrading your abilities as you go. Mortal Kombat 4 takes the series into 3D, changing how fights feel while keeping that brutal identity. Movement is more open, letting you sidestep and position yourself in new ways during combat. Each fighter still has their signature moves and finishers, but now weapons can be picked up and used mid-fight, adding a new layer to matches. Silent Hill builds horror through atmosphere and psychological tension. You walk through a fog-covered town, never fully sure what is waiting ahead or just out of sight. Combat is there, but it feels clumsy on purpose, making every encounter uncomfortable rather than empowering. The focus is on exploration, puzzles, and uncovering the story piece by piece. The sound design and music play a huge role, creating a constant sense of unease. Tomb Raider introduces Lara Croft and sets the tone for adventure games on PlayStation. You explore ancient tombs, lost cities, and dangerous environments filled with traps and puzzles. Movement is precise and a bit deliberate, so every jump and climb needs careful timing. It can feel challenging at first, but once it clicks, it becomes really satisfying. Combat is simple, letting you focus more on exploration and solving each area. Resident Evil Survivor takes the series into a first-person perspective, giving it a different kind of tension. Instead of fixed camera angles, you see everything through the character's eyes as you move through familiar horror settings. The gameplay is more focused on shooting, with a lighter emphasis on puzzles compared to other entries. Encounters feel more direct, but ammo management still matters. Disruptor mixes first-person shooting with psychic powers, giving it a unique twist. Alongside weapons, you can use abilities like telekinesis and energy attacks, which adds more options in combat. Levels are built around corridors and arenas, where enemies come in waves and push you to stay aggressive. Managing both ammo and psychic energy becomes part of the challenge. The Emperor's New Groove brings a fun mix of platforming and puzzle solving with a strong sense of humor. You play as Kuzco, turned into a llama, making your way through levels filled with traps, enemies, and quirky situations. Each stage throws in different mechanics, from sneaking around to solving simple puzzles, keeping things varied and light. The game does not take itself seriously, and that charm carries it. Destruction Derby 2 is all about chaos on the track. Winning is not just about finishing first, it is about smashing into opponents, surviving crashes, and causing as much damage as possible. Races feel aggressive, with cars constantly colliding and spinning out. The arenas are perfect for pure destruction, where you go head-on and try to outlast everyone else. Rallycross blends off-road racing with a more arcade-style feel. You race across dirt tracks, hills, and rough terrain, where control matters just as much as speed. Tracks are full of bumps and sharp turns, so staying stable while pushing forward becomes the main challenge. The physics give cars a loose feel, which makes every race a bit unpredictable. Xevious 3D G+ takes the classic arcade shooter and brings it into a full 3D space. Instead of flat scrolling, you fly through environments with more depth, dodging attacks and lining up shots from different angles. The gameplay keeps that classic formula, shooting air and ground targets while staying constantly on the move. It feels familiar, but the 3D shift adds a new layer of challenge. Spider-Man delivers a fast, action-packed experience that really captures the feel of being the web slinger. You swing between buildings, climb walls, and take on enemies across a series of mission-based levels. Combat is simple but fun, mixing punches, kicks, and web attacks to control groups of enemies. The web swinging feels smooth, giving you a real sense of movement and flow.
Do have hostages. I have to make sure you don't get hurt.
Oh, thank you, Spider-Man.
Xena Warrior Princess brings action and adventure with a mix of combat, puzzles, and exploration. You play as Xena, using her sword, kicks, and the iconic chakram to take down enemies and solve challenges. Levels are varied with traps, platforming sections, and moments that require timing and precision. The chakram mechanic adds something different, letting you hit switches or enemies from a distance.
Just stand there, get her!
Roll Cage Stage 2 takes racing and flips it upside down, literally. Cars can drive on walls and ceilings, so tracks become wild, twisting spaces where direction barely matters. The speed is intense, and controlling your vehicle while everything spins around you is part of the challenge. Tracks are packed with jumps, loops, and tight sections that keep races unpredictable. Armorines throws you into a sci-fi battle against giant alien insects. It is a first-person shooter that focuses on survival, as waves of enemies keep coming at you from all directions. The levels feel tense with limited visibility and constant pressure that keeps you moving. Ammo and health are important, so you cannot just rush in without thinking. Diablo brings dark, addictive dungeon crawling to PlayStation. You explore deep, randomly generated levels, fighting monsters, collecting loot, and constantly upgrading your character. Combat is simple but satisfying, with a steady rhythm of attacking, healing, and managing your inventory. The more you play, the stronger you become, and that loop keeps pulling you back in. So here's a list of 50 games everyone should play at least once or revisit for that pure nostalgia. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to subscribe and stick around for more. Let me know in the comments which game deserves a spot on this list, and I'll include it in the next videos.